1, 2, 3, it's like a head.
Hi, my name is Sally Hardy, and I am a counselor at Wyonegonic. The OLS program is outdoor living skills, and it's a little bit different within each unit. Down at intermediate and junior, you do things like campcraft, ecology.
In campcraft, we like to get the kids acquainted with setting up a tent, starting a fire, learning how to pack out for a trip. And then in ecology, that's where we really get to introduce them to the forest and to the environment that we live in and the environments that they're going to be camping in if they choose to go on trips. It's really, really important for us that the girls feel comfortable in the woods and that they feel like they can take some ownership of where we live.
We also participate in a program that is sponsored by the state of Maine. It's a 3-tiered system. It starts as young as age 10, what is called Junior Maine Woodsman. It transfers into what's called Maine Woodsman, and it transfers again into what's called Junior Maine Guide. And these are outdoor living skill components that in effect prepare children to have the skills necessary to be what back then was known as the Maine Guide.
Junior Maine Woodsman is for intermediate campers. They learn the basics of cloud formations and a couple of trees, how to back out for a trip, a couple of places on the map of Maine. And that gets gradually more intense as they get older. All the way up in Junior Maine Guide where they're learning axemanship, they're learning how to make a fire out of soaked wood. Seeing 14 and 15-year-olds step up and take on that responsibility themselves and completely thrive in doing it is just one of the most amazing and gratifying experiences that I think anyone could have at a summer camp. I know that I wrote my college admissions essay about JMG, as did 8 other girls from my CIT group. So it's these skills which I think sometimes people say, how are those applicable in the real world? It's more the fundamentals of responsibility, of learning how to do something for yourself, of independence, of feeling like you've really made your own campsite, you've made your own trip, you've made your own experience.
The outdoor living skills here has definitely made me who I am today. I did Junior Maine Guide as a camper and fell in love with it and ended up going to school at University of Maine in Orono and majoring in parks, recreation, and tourism, and just having a love for children and the outdoors, and which is what I want to do when I'm older.
Since we're in the woods, it's important to know what's around you and important to know how to canoe on the lake, and it's important to know how to act around animals. My favorite part of JMW was learning basic first aid and canoeing across the lake with all my friends.
I really liked learning how to cook. That was a lot of fun. And with JMW, I learned so much just outdoors and what to do in case an emergency happens on a trip. And just a lot of things to do with trips and what to do to pack and things like that.
I also like the environment because it's helping me mature, it's helping me to live without, be able to last without my parents.
Our outdoor living skills program helps build some of this understanding of what it's like to go out on a trip. We have a very extensive out-of-camp trip program. It starts very simply with day hikes and cabin overnights. We have property across the lake at 6 different campsites. And basically we build an eligibility and criteria building system for kids to get out of camp on larger events. We're a perfect gateway to New Hampshire and to get into the White Mountains.
We offer varying levels of trips from every junior and intermediate camper goes out on a cabin overnight with their counselor and their cabin and another cabin, and that's where they really get the basics of how to set up a tent and how to make a fire and how to eat outside, and it's a really fun kind of low stakes camping trip for them. It's right across the lake on Wyo property.
It's fun to get to paddle and see views of the lake from different points, and then I can also be able to canoe out of camp too. I went on one canoeing trip, which was to Loon Island, and it was also to the Inti campsite. There are blueberries at Loon Island, and it's really fun to pick them there, and it is also really fun to paddle.
We have one-night trips. We have Pleasant Mountain, which is our beautiful mountain here. We have day traverses for the kids who don't want to sleep outside. We have 2-day hikes and 2-day canoe paddles, all the way up to 5-day paddles and 5-day hikes.
Our canoe trips, we use the Rangeley Lakes in Maine, lakes called Umbagog, Aziscus, Richardson, Cupsuptic, Mooselook-McGuntic. We go moving water trips in senior to the Allagash Waterway, the West Branch of the Penobscot Waterway, and the St. Croix Waterway. These are moving water trips.
We have kids hiking parts of the Appalachian Trail. We're going to the White Mountains in New Hampshire. And I think that some of the most unique and memorable camp experiences happen out of camp on these trips. I still remember paddling the St. Croix River on the border between Maine and Canada when I was a 15-year-old camper, and learning how to navigate rapids, which was something I had never done before in my life, and how exhilarating it was, and how, I guess, self-possessed I felt at the end of it that I could navigate my own canoe down that. I remember waking up at 5 in the morning because we'd chosen to get up early and paddle, and seeing a baby moose walk across the river and hearing the beavers swim up and slap their tails on the water. And one of the coolest things about camp is getting to leave and have those experiences with a totally random group of kids, and then come back to your base and your center at camp and telling everyone these stories. I think it's really these stories that continue to carry Wyonegonic on throughout the years.
It's a big piece of the history of Wyonegonic. Not everybody needs to participate. We thoroughly encourage any that would like to do so.
I also think that there's a lot of fear about the outdoors just because people don't understand it, and there's a huge sense of empowerment that comes from understanding what it is, and that takes away a lot of the fear and allows girls to really thrive at camp.